Welcome to the Cardinal Report, your weekly 30-minute look inside the world of North Central College athletics. I'm Justin Zipser. For the fourth straight season and 36th time overall, North Central men's outdoor track and field has won the CCIW championships. We have the team on this week's show. We'll get to them in a few minutes, but first let's check in with some other NCC programs after a busy weekend. The softball team was in Bloomington for the CCIW tournament, but made an early exit after 2 losses on the tourney's opening day. But it's not the end of the world. The team nabbed an at-large bid for the D3 regionals and 12th trip in team history. The Cardinals play host School Central College on Friday to kick off the double elimination tournament in Pella, Iowa. The lacrosse team's season came to an end, and for a consecutive season, it came at the hands of Augustana in the Midwest Women's Lacrosse Conference Tournament semifinals. Anna Bartles led the team with 3 goals in the 16-9 loss. NCC concludes the season with team records in goals with 220 and draw controls with 212. Gina Fisher also broke the single-season goals record with 61, a year after Danielle Fiala set that mark with 56 in 2013. On the baseball diamond, North Central Baseball dropped its final 2 games in a doubleheader on Senior Day to Carthage, but still finishes in 4th place in the CCIW. That means the team will play in the conference tournament for the first time since 2011. This year's tourney is in Rock Island, hosted by the #1 seed Augustana. Play begins Friday. Heading into the postseason, outfielder and third baseman Sam Klein leads the team in batting average and RBIs. Pitcher Chris Singh holds a spotless 5-0 record, while Ben Cruzen leads the staff with an ERA of 2.09. Now we head back around to outdoor track and field. NCC hosted the CCIW championships for the first time since 2007. The women's team won the conference crown comfortably, keeping the trophy in Naperville for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Jocelyn Redlinski recorded a season-best score while winning the heptathlon. Lena Baker and Ebony Stallworth established new meet records in the hammer throw and shot put, respectively. In total, the USTFCCCA 18th-ranked Lady Cards grabbed 8 first-place finishes. The 4th-ranked men are hurdling toward nationals with lots of momentum as well. Later on in the show, we're joined by distance runner Roger Klein, who holds the 3rd fastest 10K time in all of Division III. Hall of Fame coach Carius also stops by. But coming up next, track and field head coach Frank Gramarosso breaks down another conference title and looks ahead to nationals next on the Cardinal Report.
Yes, ready.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
The Cardinal Report is back. Thanks for watching. NCC men's track and field head coach Frank Gramarosso is our first guest. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thanks for having me again.
Coming off the CCIW championships, a 4th straight CCIW championship for the outdoor season. It was a fantastic showing. A lot of competition in the conference between, obviously, Augustana and Carthage, which are 2 teams that are ranked in the top 25 by the USTFCCCA. So just kind of tell me how to go for you. What'd you see out there in that win?
Well, we saw some great competitive events all the way through for all 3 teams. On paper, with the results of what everybody did all spring, we were a little over 20 points down, and certainly our athletes came through in a lot of events and really competed well both days, starting on Friday and continuing on Saturday. Friday night, I told the team at our meeting that I was very pleased how things went that day and how guys competed, and if we do that tomorrow, you know, we're going to come out on top. So it was a great 2 days, great effort by all the event areas. I think the triple jump was the only event we didn't score in, so we really put things together in all event areas.
Well, you did very well in the track portions, 100 of the team points coming from the track stuff. But let's talk about field a little bit. We'll get into track a little bit later. So let's talk about some field. We saw Nick Friedrich in the javelin. He got first. Derek Nelson got second in that event. So just kind of give me a sense of how the field athletes are progressing here as we move toward nationals.
Well, if I recall, I think we scored 35 points in the throws, and our throwing coach, we have two, Lee Slick and Sean Denard help with the throws, and they really, came along for us the last 2 seasons, and this year particularly they did well. And Friedrich came back for a season of eligibility. He's in graduate school and has a full-time job, and tries to get there as much as he can to practice, and he gave us the first place points. Nelson is really an intermediate hurdler, sprinter, and he throws the javelin. Spends a little bit of time during the week, but he's mostly doing hurdles and running the 4x4. But really, the throws lifted us up. And the young freshman pole vaulters did really well too. And Mike Perez, who was a decathlete and hasn't been able to get through the decathlon due to injuries, he came through in the long jump after a lot of times this season not fouling quite a bit, but he put things together with Coach DeBoer, and he scored some points in there. And then Mark Veer never did a decathlon, and he gets 7th place. So right down the line, there's too many people to mention.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff happening. It was a packed weekend here in Naperville for the CCIW Championship, so let's hit the highlight and see how the men won their 4th straight conference title. Conference Championship's a 2-day event. We start with our only day 1 event. It's Ryan Root and the steeplechase on Friday. Early on, a very bunched up pack. The leaders start to emerge later. Wheaton's James Waterman, Augustana's Keith Sands, Root in 3rd, and Ethan Adelfinger rounding out the quartet. The finish line reveals the exact same ordering. Root in at 3rd with a time of 9 minutes and 23.66 seconds. The football sled just beyond the shot put area. That makes some sense. 3 NCC football players in the competition, along with the brother of linebacker Mike Widener, Adam Widener. He's looking real good in his first couple of second heat throws, a little short of the 17-meter mark here. His biggest competition is Derek Guyette of Carthage. He takes the lead in the final round with this shove of 16.37 meters. Widener gets the final heave of the meet, and it's a PR and the event winner, 16.69 meters. Over to the high jump and junior Femi Oyewale. The NCC high jumper tied for 14th in the nation heading into the weekend. He tops out at 2.06 meters, a new season best, and tied for an outdoor PR. He finishes 2nd, and right behind him in 3rd place is Cardinal Kyle Pembroke. 2.03 meters is his top bar. But the event belongs to Carthage high jumper Trevor James. He puts on a show, 2.19 meters, his best clearance. He nearly topped a 29-year-old Division III high jump record. Johnny Crane makes short work of the men's 1,500-meter race. He's first with a time of 3 minutes and 50.64 seconds. He's top 10 in the nation in the event. Crane back in action for the 5,000-meter race, leading the charge of Cardinal runners including Roger Klein, Ben Dikshinsky, Travis Morrison, and Mitchell Gilbert. 29 guys in this race, so they split the field up into 2 groups. Doesn't faze North Central much. Crane and the rest of the NCC runners leading the way about 2,000 meters in. We jump ahead to the last lap. It's Crane and Klein heading in together. Crane first, Klein second, who, by the way, won the 10,000-meter race the night before. The men grab 100 team points from their track events alone. After the final event, the men claim the conference trophy for the 4th consecutive year with 228 points. 5th-ranked Augustana and 14th-ranked Carthage tie for 2nd with 201 points each. So talking about the throws a little bit, Adam Widener won the shot put, and that was a PR throw for him, and he's really been progressing. I mean, it was a PR by over 3 feet compared to what he had before. So, I mean, that's exactly what you want to see in a big situation like that, the CCIW championships, for some of your athletes to come through with PRs. Yeah, he did. I think we had over 30 PRs through the whole team, so that was great. But yeah, Adam, he has the talent. He's works and finally put it all together. And he had some bigger throws that were fouls, but he got that one in there, and he has a chance to make it to the national meet in the next couple weeks here. So that was really exciting to see. And then the other 2 athletes who placed, in that event area. So we're really pleased that those throws are coming along the way they should. Well, there's so much going on over these 2-day events like the one we saw here for the CCIW championships, and you can only be in so many places at once. I know a lot falls on your assistant coaches to kind of keep an eye on how things are going. But how do you kind of go throughout the days, I should say, when you're going around looking to see how all these different athletes are doing? How do you kind of pace yourself?
Yeah, it's difficult to do because we're there emotionally in every event. And sometimes we call the hammer throw and the discus throw out in Siberia. It's hard to get out there to the javelin, and we rely on texting coaches and finding out what's going on, and especially some of our field event coaches coach men and women. So Sean was at the women's disc, and yet the men's shot was going on, and he tried to sprint back and forth to help out when he can. But we try to encourage our athletes that you don't always need the coach standing there when you're competing. You have to learn to take responsibility and take what you've done in practice and put it in the meet setting. But it is a little nerve-wracking trying to watch all the events, and I coach the sprinters, so I'm always on the track and trying to see all the events on the track, and when we can get over to some of those event areas. So the shot's easy, the high jump's easy, pole vault's easy, but it's a little more difficult to get out to the javelin, the hammer, and the discus.
So you're usually around the sprinters, so you kind of have a very good eye for what they're doing and what can be worked on and what has been working well. So give us kind of a rundown on what you're seeing out of your sprinters so far.
Well, they're coming along, with the 2 relays and the 3 sprint events. We're scoring over 20-some points in the conference meet. We needed every one of those. We had a couple twinges going on with Mustafa and Deontay, but they were able to finish the race and score their points. But certainly being on the track, you get to see all the track events, and it helps bring each group up, so they see how competitive their teammates are, and they really go after it, and that's what everybody did.
That's exactly what you want to see out of a meet. Like I said, was so competitive. I mean, really good teams in the conference. It's really like that every single year, but really you guys had to work well into the day on Saturday to earn your victory.
Yes, we had a little cushion from Friday night, but again, depending on when events end and when the next one begins, and when the finals and some of those field events, and we have some projected scores. Some of our volunteer coaches keep track of all that, and I'm constantly running up to them, asking them where we're sitting, and trying to see and project what another school may do. And Carthage had a great day too. They were way ahead of what they had on paper. They really came to compete just like they did indoors. So, but just like indoors, at the second distance race, the 3K indoors, we put the meet away. While outdoors, after the 5K, there's not enough points left that anybody can touch us. So, the 5K really put us up enough that we knew that there's no chance they were going to catch us.
Keep it right here on the Cardinal Report. More with Frank Gramaroso next.
Hi, my name's CJ. A few years ago, my father became seriously ill. I did what I could do before he passed, but it took its toll. I lost my job, my house. I'm getting back on my feet, but I don't know when there'll be food on the table. How'd I do, CJ?
We could be twins.
Well, cousins, maybe.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
We are back on TCR. Still with us for a few more minutes is track and field head coach Frank Gramaroso. We touched on a little bit in the last segment, but let's get a little bit more in depth about some of the distance runners, Troy Kelleher, Johnny Crane, and Roger Klein, guys that have been really fantastic throughout this outdoor season. We saw lots of talent with these guys in the indoor season and really have transitioned well here to the outdoor stuff.
Yeah, they sure have. They're all leaders, even though Troy's a sophomore, but certainly with Johnny Crane and Roger Klein, who you'll talk to next, they really showed some great leadership. It's that delicate balance of their national qualifiers, and their goal is in 3 weeks, and yet we do have a conference lineup that we have to cover, and Drake relays along the way too. That's a great competitive meet we'd like to be in. So even Roger gave up a chance to be at Drake so he can cover the 5 and 10, and then do what he needs to do with his coaches to be ready for the outdoor national championships.
Now, when you're a coach like that and you have to, I wouldn't say persuade guys, they kind of maybe go out of their way to make that decision themselves.
Numerous guys wanted to step up, and they're planning just like we are, and they know how important the conference meet is, and we know how strong we are in certain events. And we had an injury to one of our steeplechasers, and numerous guys stepped up and said, you know what, I ran one last year, I can run one this year. And we're always looking at how to change that lineup, or are we sure on Wednesday morning, is this the right lineup? Is there anything else we can do or need to do?
So looking at the lineup here in the next couple of weeks, you still have a couple more weeks until national championships. So how does the lineup change, maybe in accordance to you're trying to push athletes out there to maybe try to get a little bit higher up on those national standings?
Well, there are 2 meets left, both of them at home, so we don't have to travel, and certainly the weather's a huge consideration, but athletes are on track. They know what event they're really looking towards to improve. In 2 weeks, they'll take the top 20 athletes. So actually you declare the top 50. So we have numerous athletes in the top 50, and we have numerous in the top 20 that, they might get bumped or they might increase their effort and, move their mark up so that they have a definite chance of getting in. We won't know until next week. Friday night's the last night you can qualify before midnight. So that's when everybody will be checking the websites to see where we really stand.
The National D3 meet is just a few weeks away, so with that in mind, let's check in with a few NCC athletes to see how they're getting mentally prepared for a possible trip to Delaware, Ohio.
It's definitely different. What we do here is different than what a lot of people do. It's unconventional, but we make it work, and it takes a while to peak. Not every week's going to be your best week, and we just try to build up to this conference meet. When you do, it just gives you a chance to compete, and on that national stage now, slipping into the top 10, you just got to build up to it again. It's kind of a fresh new season now from conference to national, so you just got to work with what you have.
Last year, I did decent. Ended about like 6, 7.5. So coming to this year, I just want to make sure. The biggest thing Coach Rod always tells us is to believe in ourselves. So I did. Indoor, I got 6.9, and now outdoor, I tied my PR. So it's been a good season so far. It's not over. Hopefully, I go to nationals. So we'll see.
Nationals. I've been training my whole year around that national race. So trying to put my body through things I'm not comfortable with. National race isn't going to be comfortable. So I'm just going to do my best and hopefully sweep the 1-2 for the 10 with Johnny. And if it happens, the cards play right, I'll get in the 5-2 and just do what I can to represent North Central Nationals.
So like you said, both these upcoming meets before nationals even gets into the picture are at home, so you kind of have a chance to forget about the traveling aspect a little bit, get down to brass tacks and make sure that you're getting the guys out there that you want to get out there. So as we talked about before, lineups will change accordingly to that. But what's it like as a coach getting down here to the last couple of weeks, knowing that you're close to that end goal, but you still have to get a few things out of the way first?
Well, we have a minor distraction of hosting a meet of over 1,000 athletes, but our main goal is helping our athletes achieve what they need to achieve in the next 2 meets that we have left to be where they want to be. And we're close in some events, and we're very solid in others. Certainly, Roger and Troy and Johnny are pretty well set. And there's some others that you hope are, still going to hold up, but you really don't know. And a lot of, like I said, over 1,000 athletes right now will be here for this week to attempt the distance races on Thursday night, and then the rest of them of other events on Friday. So then the last meet, the Gregory Invitational, not quite as deep, but certainly some athletes still going for those marks in all events. But usually the distance races are prime this week because no one really wants to have to try to qualify the week before and then have to run on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, at the national meet.
That would be quite stressful. Looking about Roger Klein and what he's done, he's progressed very well from being a guy that we maybe more so know him for his cross-country work. 2013 All-American, but this year, PRs in the outdoor season in the 5K and the 10K. What can you tell us about the way he's progressed?
Well, you're going to have a chance to talk with him a little bit later, but he's been a national level runner even before he was a cross-country All-American. So he's been in national track meets, and he's been in the top 10 in cross-country. So he's reached that national level, and he's one of those guys that we're going to make sure that we're doing everything possible for him to be at his best, at the end of May here at the national meet.
And it's obviously so good that, you can surround some of your younger distance runners with, guys like Roger, guys like Johnny Crane who have been there. They know what it's about. They've been to these national meets. They can tell these younger runners like Troy, but Troy's obviously already been to these meets, but, younger runners like that, what to expect.
Yeah, we told all our runners they're at the conference meet. We didn't have to get on a bus, and they had to stay home. Coach Carius, even for his distance runners, had a time trial on Thursday, like they were, training for the conference level meet, which right now they're conference level athletes. The future, we hope that they're actually in the conference meet, and then they have to try to reach the next level. So they got the experience at home what the conference meet was all about.
All right, well, you still have a few more home meets. We appreciate you stopping by. Good luck, I guess, Thursday for this next coming meet, and good luck on Nationals.
Thank you.
That's head coach Frank Gramarosso, but don't go anywhere. We're going to keep it right here. We have a few distance guys joining the couch right after this break.
Today is Saturday.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back. Senior distance runner Roger Klein and associate men's track and field head coach Al Carius helping us to wrap up this episode of the Cardinal Report. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Roger, we'll start with you. Obviously, you've had such a terrific outdoor season. Kind of your crowning achievement so far has been the CCIW championships, where you won the 10K on Friday. On Saturday, coming close by with that 5K in second place. So just tell me, season's going very well. How do you feel about the way you're running out there a couple weeks away from Nationals?
I mean, comparing it to last year is completely different. Mentality-wise, last year I seemed to be chasing the 10K. I raced 3 of them in a row for a total of 5 10Ks, where this year I really wanted to make sure I got it early, so I wasn't feel like I was chasing anything. When I went in, just get it done, and I got it done. Now I focused on conference as a way to just do anything I could to help my team. So it's a little bit different mentality-wise.
I think that's kind of what Coach Gramarosso was talking about. You get that stuff early out of the way. You don't have to, stress yourself out getting those times for later on season before Nationals. And Coach Carius, you've been watching this guy for a couple of years now. What can you tell us about the way he's progressed? Obviously, it's one way to think about yourself, but when you're watching someone else race, you maybe have a little bit more context for what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. So what can you tell us about what?
It's a great question, and I'm very, very, very proud, and we all are, of Roger Klein. I think I reminded his parents the other night. We were at Benedictine Invitational, and Roger was a freshman, and he ran 8K. I think he was feeling the heat a little bit on that particular day, but I don't believe he broke 30 minutes in the 8K. Nearly 5 miles. And I remember talking with his parents to say, this young man can be a great distance runner in the future. He's got all the ingredients to be a fantastic runner. So to go from that moment and watch him progress to where he is at right now is like night and day. And what a great sense of pride I have and we have in him and what he's accomplished. He's grown up, and I tell him this all the time. He's matured, become responsibly independent, and he's a great, great leader and a role model on our team for everyone else.
That's a good point. And Roger, when we spoke to you after the championships on Saturday, you mentioned the fact that the team just seems to be much more, I guess, in terms of gelling together on a higher level this year, maybe compared to seasons past. Why do you think that is?
I think this year we made it a big part of our weekly routine to, if there was something needed to be said as a whole team, we'd come together and kind of air anything out. I know we had a couple meetings indoor track season. We all, as a whole team, kind of gathered in the locker room, talked about what needed to be talked about, just kind of brought us all together in a form and made us all accountable for what we had to do. And I think that just, those meetings, we all figured out that we all actually cared for each other instead of actually just competing together. We actually cared for each other, so we just kind of naturally, we just merged and kind of grew closer, I guess.
I think probably something else that, the team's like a family, but also your actual family must be proud of you as well. Obviously, you have a brother who was with North Central. Your parents are involved in the program very much. So what's it like being able to succeed at this level, knowing that your parents and your brother are watching you and making sure that you're keeping your head on straight here?
I mean, it's cool because I got to learn from Neil, who's my older brother. He's my biggest inspiration probably as a runner. He's 3-time All-American, and I
I always remembered he said, "You could always be better than me," but I never really believed him, and I really don't know if I still believe him, but he's just a big inspiration. And my parents, I owe everything to, because I remember in 4th grade when they went to take Neil to cross-country practice to start running, I was like, oh, I want to do that too, and it was all up to them. If they didn't take me to go watch Neil run that one day, I probably wouldn't even be here. So I owe it to them and a lot of other people, but them in specific.
I'm sure Coach Carius is one of those guys. Obviously, you are a big part of the cross-country success, being the head coach there. But moving on to track and field, Roger, when we talked to him on Friday, he mentioned the fact that 8K, 10K, those are similar type runs to cross-country. So, what are the differences in the way you approach, the way you coach these athletes when they go from cross-country to outdoor track and field?
Well, it's an evolutionary process, and certainly the aerobic component, getting aerobically stronger, is very, very important. And Roger is a great example of that. But I think more importantly, it's what's going on in the inside of them in terms of their confidence level, their positive expectation of what's going to happen. And as Roger mentioned, I mean, he was a great athlete last year, but he's far beyond that this year with his level of development, his confidence, his positive expectation. And he's very, very prepared for the national championship. This last weekend, I mean, yes, he won the 10,000 meters. That's phenomenal. He was second. He could have won the 5,000 meters, but it was a team dynamic that they went in there, with. And so he gets a first and a second. But it really, was to help the team, to be with his teammates, and to use this experience as a stepping stone towards the national championship. So this was part of his training. Mm-hmm. It was not an end in itself. It wasn't like, hey, let's run conference and now let's see what happens at nationals. This is a part of the whole process to get him prepared for the national championship. And I don't think probably last year he felt exactly the same way, but he's got much more confidence this year.
Well, when he's running with such great runners around him, and obviously that helps his confidence a little bit. But, going back to what you said about people working together in that race, in the 5K and the 10K, obviously in the 5K we saw you and Johnny Crane come in together. In the 10K, kind of a similar type situation where you had guys with you. So what's that like, knowing that you have your fellow runners out there that are great runners themselves out there boosting your own confidence?
I mean, they boost my own confidence in the race, but also off the track as well. I mean, running with them, having a white singlet and striped shorts next to me is just insane. I mean, you think you're about to die and fall off the track, but then you see the stripes and you're like, oh, okay, I can stay with my teammates. It's I don't know, it's almost surreal, but it's real.
Well, Roger, you have the third fastest time in the 10K for the entire nation. We appreciate you stopping by, and Al, we always enjoy talking to you. We appreciate it, guys. We're all out of time for this episode. Thanks for watching. Check out the rest of this season of the Cardinal Report, archived in full at nctv17.com. I'm Justin Zipser. We'll see you next time.